It's about my diary and my thoughts for the day. I may put the video on private because I don't want everybody knowing all my business. Okay, guys. Okay. Good to see everyone. This is my dear diary. That's what this is. Ooh. Man, it's warm in here. Feels good. Okay, just almost out of order of the mind. I've been looking up mental disorder. A mental disorder, a personality disorder that makes a person be overly passive, overly compliant, easily convincible, unscrupulous, easy to believe and to not question what people say and do. Just like if you had $1,000 in the bank and dwindled down to $10. A person who is so trusting and convincible, somebody would tell you, you really have only $10 in the bank. You really have only $10 in the bank. But you would actually believe it because you wouldn't even question it because of the fact of your disorder. You wouldn't question the fact that somebody was lying to you because you're easily convinced. You're naive and gullible to the point to where it's a mental disorder. Guys, help me. What kind of a mental disorder makes a person that way? That makes a person so easily naive and gullible that they do whatever somebody says. Hey, Coach Isms, how are you? Davey Tribe member. Good to see you too. What kind of mental disorder causes that? And compliant. Doing whatever somebody else says to do. I'm doing my own. Well, it's a disorder. It's got to be a disorder for a person to be so passive and trusting and obedient to others. Obedient and trusting. It's not good to trust people to a fault and trust people to the point and be so compliant to a fault. People like Elbow will take advantage of that. People like that will take advantage of a person who maybe has a disorder to where they're so compliant and so obedient that they'll just do whatever somebody else says. A person like that will take advantage of a person who will just do anything somebody says. I can understand why somebody would get bullied in school if they're the kind of person who's so passive and so compliant and so trusting that they'll do and believe anything somebody says, and they won't even question what some people say. They just do it. A person like that is a city without walls. A person like that is a city without walls, unprotected. They're a sitting duck and they're helpless because they can't say no. People like that need assertiveness training. Assertiveness training. Assertiveness training. Assertiveness training. Assertiveness training. We all need assertiveness training. Some of us tend to be passive, and we don't need to be. We need to come out of the commercial, like that convincible, like that got that commercial where that drill sergeant was on there, and he said, "You jackwagon." What did he call him? A jackwagon? What did he say? Hey, Marlboro Matt, jackwagon. He called him a jackwagon. Marlboro Matt, good to see you. He called him a jackwagon. It's a drill sergeant, a terrible therapist. It was a Geico commercial. Geico commercial. Is a drill sergeant a terrible therapist? All right, what are you crying for? Why are you crying for? You get up on your bootstraps, you jackwagon. What are you doing? That was just a person with a disorder, a mental disorder. There's something called dependent personality disorder. Dependent personality disorder makes a person depend on another person and be compliant and not do what somebody not resist. It's almost like with that kind of disorder, you taking that rape drug, that date rape drug called Rohypnol. I think it's called Rohypnol. It's a date rape drug. It makes you so so compliant that you will not fight against someone. Someone can tell you to do something or you'll do anything, but you're in such a vulnerable state that you'll just do whatever somebody says. I think it's good to be street smart and to be scrupulous, not to be cruel and to be an asshole and be cruel, but to be street smart and shrewd and street smart, and not be the kind of person that just trusts and does what people say, and be a because people that are retarded or intellectually disabled, or what they used to call retarded, people like that can be very trusting and very honest, but be very compliant and submissive and obedient and won't resist. A person like that will not try to resist. A retarded person will not try to resist. But you see, you don't want to be like a retarded person and not resist. We got to be a normal person and resist. We got to resist assholes. We've got to say no. We got to stand up for ourselves the best we can in life. Now, and you don't have to, do what you have to do in life, and say, do what you have to do, and that's what you have to do if you've got that kind of disorder, and you need to be scrupulous, you need to have common sense. You need to not, if you're trying to work out of that kind of disorder, just tell me what kind of disorder it is that makes a person that way. A disorder, a mental disorder. Knowing the truth can help you change the personality of being that way. Because you don't want to be that way, and you can realize that you're that way and work against being that way. And you got to realize the situations and times when you're most likely to be that way. There are certain times and situations where you're not going to be that way. Around people you don't feel, insecure around, but when you're feeling insecure around certain kinds of people, you want to convince people you're straight. Hey Mandy, how are you? You want to convince people you're not gay. You want to convince people you're not that way, so you want to submit. You want to assimilate. You want to assimilate and to fit in and be one of the guys, to fit in and be one of the gang. So you'll do whatever they say to gain acceptance or whatever like that, even become this gullible, naive, overly trusting person, overly convincing, overly easy, overly exploitable, overly exploitable, I'm going to get off here. A friend needs me, and I'm going to talk to a friend, okay? You just think about this, guys, and put it in the comments below what you think about this disorder. This is just my diary entry today, dear diary. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later on a further stream. Thank you.